Let me take you somewhere. You're 17, you just graduated high school. You got dreams in your chest and fire in your heart. And like most people, you're walking straight into the real world, clueless about the one thing that's going to control most of your life: money. You don't know how to budget. You don't know what a credit score really means. You don't understand debt, interest, or taxes, but you do know how to label the parts of a frog. You know the Pythagorean theorem. You've memorized the dates of every war your country's ever fought. But when that first bill comes, when that paycheck hits and it's already gone, when the rent is due and the fridge is empty, suddenly you realize you're on your own, completely unprepared, utterly alone. And it's not your fault. You were never taught how to survive this. Let's talk about why so many people struggle with money. And let's tell the truth. They gave us diplomas. They gave us caps and gowns. They gave us cheers, applause, and congratulations. But they never gave us the manual. They never gave us the how. In school, we learned how to find the square root of an imaginary number. But no one showed us how to read a paycheck. No one explained that taxes come out before we ever see our full wages. No one told us how to track spending, how to build savings, how to handle money when it comes in and when it disappears just as fast. No one warned us that if we missed just one payment, our credit score could tank. That one wrong move could haunt us for 7 years. That banks will lend you more than you can handle and then charge you for drowning. We weren't taught how to buy a car, how to rent an apartment, how to say no when a salesman pushes you into something you can't afford. But we were tested on the names of dead authors. We were graded on how well we could regurgitate facts from a textbook written by someone who never lived paycheck to paycheck. I remember sitting in class hungry, not metaphorically. I mean stomach growling, can't focus kind of hungry. And we were talking about Shakespeare. Meanwhile, my mom was at home juggling bills, deciding whether to pay the water or the electric. That's the kind of education I needed. And so we go out into the world blind. We fumble through jobs, make mistakes, overdraft our accounts. We learn by falling, scraping our knees against late fees and bad credit and the weight of shame. Not because we're careless, but because we were never shown the map. They handed us the wheel, but never taught us how to drive. Now let's talk about survival. You wake up. You work 8, sometimes 10 hours a day. You do everything right. You show up. You clock in. You follow the rules. And still, you're broke. You're counting quarters for gas. You're deciding between groceries and a prescription. You're getting paid on Friday, but broke again by Monday. And somewhere in your soul, you start to believe that you're the problem. But you're not. You were dropped into a game that was already rigged. You're being asked to outrun inflation with a paycheck that barely stretches across the week. You're expected to build savings while rent climbs higher and wages stay frozen. You're told to prepare for retirement when you can't even afford a dentist visit. And through it all, there's this voice in your head saying, "You're lazy, you're irresponsible, you should be doing better." But what if I told you the system needs you to feel that way? What if I told you this endless cycle of scarcity isn't an accident? It's by design. Because a stressed out, worn down worker is easier to control. A person living paycheck to paycheck doesn't have the luxury of planning ahead. They don't have time to protest. They're too busy surviving. And so the cycle continues. You get your check, you pay your bills, you try to breathe, you hope nothing goes wrong. And when it does, a flat tire, a sick child, a missed shift, it all collapses. And still, you show up. You keep going. You keep pushing forward, thinking one day it'll change. One day, you'll catch up. But catching up doesn't happen by chance. It happens when we finally learn what we were never taught, when we unlearn the lies, when we break the silence. Here's something most people won't say out loud. Money is emotional. We don't always spend because we're careless. Sometimes we spend because we're hurting, because we're lonely, because we need to feel something other than pressure and fear. You're working long hours, you're exhausted, and for just one moment, you want to feel okay. So you buy takeout. You order that thing online. You swipe the card because that small hit of joy is all you've got, and then it's gone, and guilt creeps in. You stare at the bank app, dreading the balance. You tell yourself, I'm so stupid. I should have known better. And slowly, you start to believe that you're bad with money, that you're broken, that this is just how life has to be. But hear me. You are not broken. You are overwhelmed. You are tired. You are human. We've all been there, sitting in the car, staring at a declining balance, wondering how it got this bad, holding back tears in the checkout line, pretending we're okay when inside we're screaming. Money anxiety doesn't just hurt our wallets, it hurts our health. It ruins sleep. It breaks marriages. It silences dreams. It convinces us we're alone. But you're not alone. You're one of millions. And if no one else has said it to you today, let me be the first. There is no shame in your struggle. The shame belongs to the system that left you unprepared and then blamed you for not knowing better. We are not meant to live this way, constantly in fear, constantly chasing, constantly hiding from the truth of our own bank accounts. But here's the thing, they can't keep us in the dark forever. Not if we start talking, not if we start learning, not if we start telling the truth. You don't need more hustle. You need knowledge. You need community. You need tools that were denied to you. And once you have them, once you understand how this works, you become dangerous to every system that profits off your silence. This is where it begins, not with shame, not with blame, but with truth. You're not bad with money. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You were never given the manual, but you've got it now. Let's turn the page.